Good morning. We are at the garden again. It is the middle of October and the leaves are really starting to turn this beautiful color there. I'm just going to give a garden update. And this time of year the weather's been very mild and warm. So usually like peppers and tomatoes will have a good frost or freeze by now that we have to strip those plants and get them cut out. But we still have them in the ground, which it's kind of hard because we have some crops like spinach and things like that that we like to get planted. It's not really crucial that we get it planted, but I just like to make sure we have enough of spinach going into, usually that'd be like February, March. But I did get some planted and I have some transplants started that should give us enough. So I'm keeping the peppers in as long as I can. I might start to take those out to get spinach planted here, but I'll usually be able to keep planting spinach till mid-November. It takes a long time for it to germinate, but it still can germinate and at least stay alive, so when it does warm up in February, it'll take off right away. So yeah, we'll start up here at the top of the garden. We want our prop house, which we don't really have many seedlings, but we do have some spinach left. Got some spotty germination on these, but these look really good. So these will go in behind peppers. So these 6 trays will plant about 1 row. Then we have cabbage. So this is like our last planting of cabbage. So they're looking really nice. And we got parsley in between, kohlrabi, and some really nice cilantro there. So that was an area I wasn't quite sure what to do. A lot of times I do celery in that area, but I didn't need to this year. So I planted a lot of stuff and it turned out really nice. So here we have a lot of our tomatoes. I've taken out all of our cherries. I'm working on these here. I'm leaving them for a little bit longer, but I will take them out before too long just to allow more light to get in. But we have radishes, arugula, spinach, and some green onions down at the bottom. We got salad greens and beets. These are the last of the beets. And then we have some salad greens here, and that's all spinach there. And some parsley up here. It's really small, it's hard to see. And yeah, the tomatoes, these usually are about all out by now. And here we have what we're harvesting now. Got a white moth under there. Let's try to get it out. Maybe I can. Oh, now there's 2. There we go. Got them out. We got spinach, radishes. The spinach here looks beautiful. We have head lettuce. So this is the head lettuce that we're working on now. It's really nice. And our hoop house here that I've actually started to work on again. So got these. Had to add a few sections in here to finish. These are all done. Here, the wood wire track now I'm trenching out along here. Then I'm going to put my baseboards down and I'm going to bury, actually I'm just going to use greenhouse plastic. I'm going to attach to that and bury that in the ground. Mainly, I mean, it serves a couple purposes. It'll keep the mulch and compost in the hoop house, but it'll actually keep water that comes off the hoop house. It'll keep it from wanting to seep back into the hoop house, and it'll feed it down the waterway. And if I bury it deep enough, it'll keep out moles, which moles aren't a huge issue. Even if they get in, I don't find that they don't eat plants or anything. They just will kind of disturb their root system. But I've never really had too many issues with them. We have our hedgerow, which is starting to die back, more browny, not so many colors left in here. Still a few flowers, but we have had a few frosts, so stuff has got nipped a little bit. That's calendula there, and marigolds are pretty well dying. We have our hot peppers that I've been protecting on the frosty nights. This is a sprouting broccoli. See if I can find. So there's actually a small broccoli that you harvest young, like that. You can eat the leaves if you want. I'll usually leave a few leaves on, like that. I'll eat that. They're really tender. Got carrots, and more carrots. And some spinach. So pretty old planting. I actually thought this planting, we had a really wet spell and this stuff was not looking good. But it looks like half the plants actually survived and now the new growth is green. So I'll actually be able to harvest that some more, I think. Cabbage, there's a few cabbages left, some reds, but this section here is pretty well done. Got a cover crop where our sweet potatoes were. And here, got all of our garlic planted. Actually, if you look closely, the garlic is starting to come up. It's been so mild and warm. But see, I raised all these beds, came through and shoveled from the walkway onto here to raise the beds a little bit, and I'm gonna do that with this whole section here. Once the cover crop dies back and once the carrots are all out, I'll go ahead and raise those beds. They'll dry out quicker, so I may have to water more, but it'll prevent, when we have a lot of rain during certain events, it'll prevent plants from rotting out or from having root rot issues. So we have this hoop house, which is looking really nice and full. This is kind of a main tunnel here, hoop house for our fall winter markets. So we got cilantro or celery. There's some Swiss chard down at the bottom. We got kale for bunching, which is looking beautiful. Some up there. That stuff we've been harvesting pretty much all season. We have head lettuce. So these will probably be in another month. We'll harvest these. Trying to think. After that row up in that other section I showed you, we'll harvest that. And then we have another little planting, and then we'll come here. I'm over our last planting of radishes down at the bottom that's just coming up. We'll see. Those may not mature in time, but had a little space and figured, well, I might as well try. We got beets. Yeah, these beets will pretty much sit here all winter. They overwinter fine, even the cold. They'll, even if the tops kind of die back, the roots will be fine. Here we have our rye. So this rye here will be terminated in the spring, and we'll have our pumpkins planted there next year. And our asparagus, you can see, is dying back, so that's really a sign that things are going into dormancy. Things are ready to go to sleep for the winter, even though the days are still beautiful. But it's not just the weather a lot of times, it's the day length. So when plants sense the lack of sun, it'll initiate dormancy as well. So this is our last of the head lettuce planting. See how little they are now. These were put in about 2 weeks ago. And then this here is spinach that I just planted like 3-4 days ago. Planted right before the really warm spell to hopefully get it to germinate quickly. So that's pretty much it for the garden right now. I guess I didn't show you, there's just this section here is pretty well all done, but we have cabbage. The broccoli's pretty well all harvested, but these cabbages have some really nice heads on them. So it'll be these cabbages, and then in the prop house we'll get to those. So most of these will actually probably be for sauerkraut. We make a lot of sauerkraut, so we'll keep a lot of these for that. So that's pretty much it for now in the garden. We'll see what November brings, but until then,